Hello everyone, this is an FCI FC-73 fire alarm control panel. These were first produced in the early 2000s and are similar but not a directory brand of the Silent SK5208. The FC-73 is a medium-sized conventional fire alarm control panel with 10 initiating zones, expandable to 20, and 4 signal circuits, along with 3 programmable relays. This panel also supported a built-in dialer and a variety of option modules, essentially the same as those on the Silent 5208. Despite this, the FC-73 is unique in that it features an LED button layout instead of the traditional LCD display. So let's jump right into this. For this demonstration, we have both fire and non-fire initiating devices and signals. For the fire alarm portion of the system, we have a PSD7155 4-electric smoke detector. When this alarms, it triggers this Wheelock NS4 horn strobe. This is a 4-wire NS with separate audible and visual circuits. This Blue Point BP pole station will trigger this system sensor MA horn, which is set to the swept tone, and will show up as a supervisory on the panel. Lastly, this simplex heat detector will activate this Wheelock RSSA amber strobe, which will show up as a non-fire alarm on the FC-73. On the edge here is a Gamewell RAN400 LCD annunciator. It's a rebrand of the Silent SK5235 annunciator. FCI had its own model of this annunciator, the LCD FC-73. And this annunciator will be where most of the operation and controls for this demonstration will take place. So let's begin with the fire alarm portion of the system by activating the smoke detector. And we have audible silence. Strobe continues to flash. Alarm on zone 1. And the signal circuits that were activated are also indicated here. Signal circuit 1 is flashing as it is silenced. That's the horn circuit. While signal circuit 2, the visual circuit, is still active. Now let's activate this Blue Point pole station and sound the MA horn. This metal button here acts as a silence switch. Silenced again from that button. There's now a supervisory condition on zone 3, and signal circuit 3 was activated, which was connected to that system sensor MA horn. So now, let's reset this pole station. This smoke detector should be aired out by now, so let's reset from the annunciator. Reset takes a couple seconds. During this time, the smoke detector power in all the zones shut off and then turn back on after a brief delay. And back to normal. Now to activate this heat detector, which will activate this RSSA strobe, and will perform all system operations from the annunciator. Silence that, shuts off the strobe. And on the main panel, alarm on zone 5 and signal circuit 4 was activated for that strobe. The annunciator has a bit more information. Heat alarm on zone 5, heat detector, and it's an alarm, but it's considered a non-fire alarm. This zone type, along with the cold and water zone types, are considered non-fire but critical process zones. For instance, monitoring important machinery or components, Perhaps the C detector was right above an important piece of machinery, and should it overheat, it will activate a non-fire signal to warn of a critical issue. So now, let's reset the system. And back to normal. In addition to the LED interface, the FC-73 has a different type of enclosure compared to the 5208. All of the controls are behind a plexiglass screen and require opening the door to access any controls. This LED interface, while not as informative as the LCD display, does provide more simple but concise details about each of the zones, signal circuits, and auxiliary power, along with general LED indicators. This LED interface is somewhat similar to the FC-72 fire alarm panel, which is a lot older. On the back of the circuit board there, it says 5209 and not 5208. It seems Silent Night had a separate model number for the circuit boards used in this FC-73 and the Gamewell Flex 410, which is the same thing, but it has the LCD display. This would explain why SK devices like the 5235 annunciator do not work on this panel, but the REN 400 does. And it might also explain why the SK programming software does not work on this panel, amongst several other differences. Which is why this panel is similar but not the exact same as the 5208 panels. Most operator functions, including programming, can be done from the remote annunciator, and it's especially important on the FC-73. So let's navigate the menu interface on this annunciator. Show status, enter code. There's nothing to show because the system is normal, but if there's a fire alarm, supervisory trouble, it will display here. History events. This just displays all of the events on the fire alarm panel. Some of these predate the demonstration. That's fine. And there's also an option to clear history. And that clears all the history. Next is system test. This just activates the LEDs. Should do this on the main panel as well. Like so. There's walk test for testing all the initiating devices on the system. Check that out real quick. There's options to use verification, map to relays, map signal circuits, and then reset to exit. Here's a function to reset the dialer if it's configured. Set the time, date, program mode. There's also an option to call computer if connected to a PC with the programming software, as well as fire drill, which will activate all signal circuits that participate in fire drill, like this. So let's check out program mode. There's a couple of options here. So each zone has its own options. Let's check zone 1. Zone 1 location, this is the label. It's more informative with the programming software. The zone type, fire, water flow, supervisory, undefined, heat, cold, water, AC delay, external reset, and external silence. And not used. Leave it on fire. Zone 1 disable, this allows the zone to be disabled. Zone response, it's 1 second, but there's also 4, 16, and 40. The response delays are really only important for any water flow zones. Verify options is a variety of different detector verification options if using 2-wire smoke detectors. Auto silence on this zone. Manual silence on this zone. This allows the use of the silence button. What signal circuits the zone activates. This fire zone activates signal circuits 1 and 2. And relays, there's 3 relays. so it activates relay number 1. And that's it for that zone. To view other zones, press silence, and then navigate to any zone number. Next are system options, pre-alarm time, sound pre-alarm, auto silence, latching supervisories, Class A zones, Class A signal circuits, LCD keypads. Up to 4 of these can be installed in the system. This counts as 1, but it's unsupervised, so it doesn't count towards the numbers here. ZDM expanders, and that's it for system options. Next is signal codings. Here is signal circuit 1. It's set to continuous. There is march time, which is 60 BPM, ANSI temporal coding, single stroke bell coding, and California code. And like the zones, silence, and then use the arrow keys to navigate to different signal circuits. Next are general signal circuit options. Here are the signal circuits that are silenceable, all of them except for signal 2. That controls the strobe on its NS4. Fire alarm circuits, again NS4. Pre-alarm, auxiliary for undefined heat, cold, and water zones. That's for the RSSA strobe. Water flow, supervisory, only signal circuit 3 for this one. That controls the system sensor MA horn. Cross alert for any cross-zoning applications. Trouble, remote signal, not in use. Which circuits have end-of-line resistors, which is all of them. And fire drill signal circuits. Next are general relay options. Fire relays, pre-alarm, auxiliary, water flow, supervisory, cross alert, trouble, and fire drill. There's options to change the passcodes for different users. Computer options for connecting to a PC. So quick side note, the Silent Night programming software does not work with the FCI FC-73. This panel uses what's essentially the same software, but for this panel and not for Silent Night panels. There's line options for the dialer. There's also a second line. And other miscellaneous reporting options. This is all for the communicator. And lastly are the outputs for the 5280 I/O module. And that is it for programming. Once all programming changes are made, reset exits program mode and saves the changes to the panel's memory. And that is all for the FCI FC-73 fire alarm control panel. Documentation on these panels is quite sparse. While the 5208 will last into the early 2020s, the FC-73 may have been discontinued sooner, possibly as early as the late 2000s. If you happen to acquire one of these panels, then you have one of the more rare and lesser known FCI panels, and by extension a rarer Silent Night panel. Overall, the FC-73 and 5208 are great fire alarm control panels. Their biggest weakness is in the power supply, as these can fail with abuse or frequent power surges. But, with proper care, this panel's capabilities can exceed that of similarly sized panels like the Firelight MS-10UD, thanks to its expansion capabilities, flexible signal circuit programming, and versatile annunciators. In any case, if you have any questions or comments on the FC-73, feel free to post them below. But until next time, have a nice day.